Welcome to the Indian Newsling podcast.
We welcome once again Dr. Kanti by Patel.
Thank you.
To our studios in Indian Newslink. Dr. Kanti Bhai, welcome. We want to talk today about the magnificent temple, Swaminarayan Temple, ISSO, and the community center that you and Ranjna Ben have recently constructed. And we have had the honor of having a few events there. If I were to tell you how much we enjoyed being there, I think that itself will be a story in itself. Before we come to that, please tell us something about the Swaminarayan concept of Swaminarayan. We have written about it since we were a part of your journey in 2004, 2005 when the temple was constructed, and last year when the community center came. Tell us about this aspect of Kanti Bhai and Ranjna Patel.
Yeah, thank you very much. I come from the family who are deeply into religious things.
Right.
When I came to New Zealand in 73, I had a very little understanding of the religious and the spiritual aspects of it. Obviously, when I was in India, when doing my study, there was a very little exposure I had it. But then what happened is, it was my father's death who tickled me.
When was that?
That was in 91. My father was a very religious, spiritual person.
In Gujarat?
In Gujarat. And he met an accident in India. And before his death, he was in New Zealand with me. And his last word was this in Gujarati, he said, he gave me an advice, "Bhai, don't do anything wrong so Yamaraja can't come with his doot to you. Make sure Vishnu Parsad comes to take you." I couldn't understand a word of it. But at his deathbed, I felt I had to do something. I had to learn about it. And I don't know what happened. 6 months later, I had a call from the head of the Swaminarayan sect, the family member, the original Swaminarayan Sampradaya. And the head phoned me and he said he wants to come to New Zealand for just a holiday. I have no idea. He doesn't know where he got my address.
It's all ordained.
Just something. So when he came to New Zealand, obviously I was just very casual in a lot of ways because I didn't know the formality and all those things. And he was not at all pushy or in that line. But he stayed with me for 6-7 days. And he did mention to me that, please, when you get a chance, read Bhagavad Gita or some spiritual book, 1 page a day. And I felt I should do something.
Okay.
But before that, what happened was, Mr. Roshan Nahuria and Dr. Raj Agnihotri, they both came to me and said that we want to build up a temple
In Balmora.
in Balmora. And so I, myself, three got together and we started the foundation. So we built up a temple and there was running and all those sorts of things, but there was no deep understanding or anything in that line. So then suddenly what happened was, when my master, this spiritual master who came to my house and stayed with me, and then I had an occasion to employ one acharya. And I employed him full time for 10 years.
In the clinic?
No. I built up a small, in Manuka, small hall type of a thing, 70 meter.
Okay.
And his job is to give us a lecture on Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita, and Vachanamrut.
Okay.
So he used to give a lecture 3 times a week, and constantly for 10 years I attend that.
So you were his employer.
And at the same time, I had a connection with my master. Under him, there were nearly 3,000 sons in India, and they're very well learned. So they used to give me send me all the materials, plus this local acharya used to give me teaching me. So I understood little bit about our philosophy, and I felt that, well, look, there is a bit more than that, just practice itself, because practice was a social worker and working and all those sorts of things. So that led me to find a place, build up a temple, and that encouraged. That's how I started the temple.
So you found this place in Papatoy.
In a place of Papound. It was an old church, a run-down church.
I remember that part. Yeah, I attended the groundbreaking ceremony.
That's good.
So Ranjna ji started taking interest in the temple along with you.
Yes, he was. When first 10 years, he was not at all interested. He was not coming at all.
It is 91 to 2001.
Yeah, 2001. But in 2001, my master's wife came down, which he called as Gadiwada, and she met her. And I remember they were only here for one day.
Oh.
Okay. And in the evening, Ranjna told me, I was impressed with Gadiwada, and I'm going to. And next day onwards, she started develop interest. So from 2001 onwards, she was developing serious interest into it and all that.
Right. So the temple was the first step towards your greater involvement.
That's true.
How did the community center part of it come about?
Okay. So when we built it took me 4 or 5 years to build up the temple.
I remember we had a big event and we even brought out a special feature.
Yes, I remember that. So when we built it around
That the Maharaj had come.
Maharaj, yeah, that's right. So when we built it up in 2008, we thought this is enough. We have got nearly 700, 800 square meter of building. It has got all the facilities. And at that time, I think the Indian population in Papatoyto was something about 3-4%. But in the first year, I could see that people coming.
Right.
So then I started to think that it's not going to serve our objective which we want to do it. Because it was not just spiritual itself, but there is more than that, because our Indian culture has got a lot of celebrations, a lot of things to do. So what I decided to do is just buy houses around that place. This is how it started. It took me nearly 10 years to buy a lot of places.
All the places, yeah. So this temple that you have created has, in one way, it has increased the number of people coming to pray. And secondly, the center itself is taking a lot of activities. You have, like Ranjna ji was telling us earlier, activities for women, activities for men. You have prayers sessions, and also many other social events you are doing. Do you have any further expansion plans of this place?
At this stage, we are not sure. Expansion physically, obviously there is a need for elderly home or accommodation. But I personally think that we have to focus currently with integrations between, especially our Indian, who has got a bit of still integration between Western and Eastern culture. So if we want to do more, I think it's an integrations of the youth, because both culture has got more and more to offer. And I think if I got more energy, I would like to focus more onto that particular part.
How can you give us an example so that we can try and be a part of it with you?
Yes, well, I can see personally, in personal experience, because I have got 8 grandchildren
Yeah. Of different cultures.
of different cultures.
Yeah.
And I personally think, this is my personal experience, we need, like what I did in medicine, put up an infrastructure. Here also we have to understand the need of those, my grandchildren. I can't be pushy with them. Now I have to modernize our own self, and this is what I can see when I came here in '73. I attended the first meeting at Indian Association. We have to modernize it. We have to develop a language to communicate. We are doing very good in sports, but that's just not good enough.
Right.
We have got more than sports, more than physical. And this is not just a mental, physical, social community. This is also an integration of spiritual, the wisdom which we have got,
Absolutely.
which is a very, very deep rooted there. Now, how can you communicate that? You don't have to be intelligent to communicate that. You have to be really near. Like I mentioned, I used to connect with my patient in 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. If I cannot treat my patient within 5 minutes, I always blame myself. That I just don't know what are the resources available to treat him.
Right.
Same as here. Still long, long way to go. So you ask me, what is the next? If I can see that, I can see some of the organizations are doing very well. But then they are lacking in their own infrastructure.
Right.
Because the root here is so critical. While we are so fortunate, because we have a root going back up to 5,000 years.
Right.
And original. And that's why, if someone asks me why did I invest in all those particular things, or why I'm putting my efforts into it, I can see a light there.
What I see from my point of view, Kanti Bhai, is that when you have a facility like Swaminarayan Temple and Community Center, people get attracted to come there, either for an event, whatever, and then they are slowly drawn into spirituality. This is what I see happening, because when I go around some of the temples, I see young volunteers who work, and then they come with their family, young family, and they're engaged. I think that way there is a good future. And I think around the world, the Swaminarayan movement is becoming stronger. In the recent months, and perhaps in the last 1 or 2 years, people are talking about a huge entity coming up in New Jersey, 500 acres of land, etc. So we would like to be involved with you, and especially because we are very passionate about bringing in young people into all aspects of social, economic life. So we are very grateful to you, Kanti Bhai. You and Ranjna Ben are doing yeoman service to our communities. And this is not the last interview. We will be coming back to you to see also the facilities that you offer at the complex in Papatoetoe, and continue our conversation. Thank you very much for being with us today, and we are very grateful to you.
Thank you for listening to the Indian Newslink podcast.